If you're going to use the same account numbers and funding source from this year for your new proposal, rather than manually typing this information, there's a button at the top that says load. When you click that, Martus will automatically copy from 2021 the account numbers and funding sources you have. So nice little time saver from having to work down here and taking a few minutes to do account number, funding source the whole time. And then from there, you can either start typing in your budget proposal, making adjustments. For example, let's say this test for AR training is no longer a funding source I was going to use. If we come down here at the end and I select that, one of the actions I can use is to change the dimension. So maybe I need that to be now just test for training, not test for AR training. So a quick fix. A quick fix on how to change the funding source and make an update here if we accidentally use the wrong one without having to delete a line and start over again. And you can do that with multiple lines. So now I've changed them all to just test for AR training instead of test for training. So if you run into a little situation where we've made a mistake on our budget, you can certainly do that to change the dimension and fix that. So let's start back over. So we load our budgets to copy down from 21 the account numbers and funding sources we're using. If we were going to use the same budgetary information, so down here at the end is that budget column. If we anticipated that there weren't going to be very many changes to our budget or none at all, next to load is initialize worksheet. And so what this is going to do is give us an option to either use the actual numbers, meaning actual spending, actual revenue we've collected, or to use the budget numbers. I would be careful about using actual spending. Number one, we're not all the way through a fiscal year, so if we use that, we can end up cutting our budget down pretty significantly. And number two, Martus doesn't include our encumbrances, so if we had unpaid purchase orders and contracts, that's not calculated in actual. So we pretty much want to just work on using the budget numbers for 2021. We click the green button or the gray button, and it'll just automatically select all those months for us. If the budget was going to stay the same, we can leave it at 100%. So 100% of $1 is $1. We want it to stay the same. We leave that alone. And we click the blue set values button. And so now, in just a couple of keystrokes or button clicks here, we've brought down the funding source and the account numbers, and then the two line items that were budgeted are now there. And if it was going to be the same, that's it, we're finished. This top line doesn't have a budget, so maybe I'm not going to include that in my proposal because there's nothing that's going to be there. I've cleaned it up a little bit. Now I can save. And by saving this worksheet, these two items are now included in the Martus budgets overall. And then each week when I sync Martus to Intact, this will move into Intact for the draft budgets. Any questions with the load and initialize options? If you do, please put them in the chat box. When you're using the initialize, you can also increase or decrease that amount. So if we anticipated a 10% increase in our budget, if we wanted to propose one, if we change the 100 to 110, it's added the 10% of 200, which is $20. down to that budget. So now we have a proposal of 220. So a quick, easy way of doing that for all of our line items. It works the same way if we were going to have a decrease in our budget of 5%. We take 100 minus 5, and our budget would change to a reduced proposal from the original 2021 budget. And as with any of those things, any changes, once you've made that, you can click Save. There is a little calculator button with each line. So if there was anything with a significant change that you wanted to see noted, you can open up the calculator and add a note to why your proposal is going to be what it is, with up to 150 characters on this budget. So you can print that out through Martus if you wanted to.